So, it's me. Yeah. Been a busy couple of weeks, right? Done all the other stuff. You've probably noticed by now, unless you're terminally blind, that I've been writing a vector displacement shader for Mental Ray. That I've put out. In fact, from last night, it means that there's now versions for Maya, 3D Max, Softimage. They all work on 32 and 64-bit from 2010 to 2011. They may work on earlier versions, especially the Max and Maya ones. Not quite sure, so test them ones out. It works well. So what is vector displacement? Well, you see this hedge here, right? It goes straight up and down, right? If you imagine this terrain as a polyplane, right? That hedge can be displaced, but using 30-bit displacement as a straight line. Polygons go either straight up or straight down. That's all displacement does. If, however, you want a hedge that grew and bend like that and bent around the corner, you couldn't do it. You'd have to have more topology to support it. That's basically what vector displacement does. It allows you to displace in 3 dimensions as opposed to a linear up and down thing, right? He says you in technical terms. Now, the good thing about these shaders, they're very fast. Faster than normal displacement. In fact, the fastest of all the implementations is actually Jen's. I forget his second name. Sorry mate, I forgot your second name. He offered to port my code to XSI, so that's exactly what he's done. And the code in XSI, the implementation of Mental Ray in Softimage, gets a bit of hell from time to time. But it turns out, for this one thing, it's absolutely phenomenal. If you use, the Q key, right? You just drag your box over and just keep pressing the plus key, right? Real-time displacement, vector displacement. That's virtually what it is. It's probably about a half a second lag or something. Not bad. It's very fast. Now the video on here, something that would normally take me about a minute is rendering in about 4 seconds. So needless to say, there's been interest from a few large companies. Not that I'll make a penny off this. This is free, alright? I must be fucking certifiable for this, because this seriously could have made a lot of money for me. But the thing is, why did I do this? Oh, there's little lambs behind the hedge. I was like seeing lambs. You won't be able to see them from me because of the camera. But I made it free. Why did I do it? It's like I do everything. I wanted it. I've wanted vector displacement for the past 2 years, and I was banging on an Autodesk about it. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. And a lot of people have started saying it recently, and then they started listening. And they've had it in Mudbox 2011. Excellent release, by the way. But there was no shader for it. I've explained this before. So it sort of felt to me, and I did it. Now I should point out that there's a couple of lines that Zach Anderson contributed. They are somewhat crucial lines, as it would have delayed it. Those 2 lines I would have came up with eventually, but it would have taken me another 48 hours. And to be honest, we did not have 48 hours, or I didn't have 48 hours of doing this solo, you know what I mean? Now, that is a favourite of me. It wasn't stuff through mental images, it was just, to save me a bit of time, right? So, nice one for Zap and all that. And I know he wanted to make sure that people didn't think he wrote the shader, because I gave him a whole boatload of shit. Sort of his brain's paid for by mental images, you know what I mean? Luckily, nobody pays for my brain. These up there. Now it does world space and object space. So they're the same as world and object space. Normal maps, think of it that way, right? You can't animate them. These ways involving nulls that somebody came up with and sent me an IM last night. You actually use nulls, nested nulls, and you can do it that way and actually can move it. But what about tangent space? Well, tangent space is a bit of a pain in the arse, because there's no out-of-the-box way to convert from tangent space to the internal unit system in Mental Ray in the SDK, which is a bit of a bugger. Meaning it's got to be done ye olde way by pure mathematics. And once you're working with 9-dimensional arrays and 32-bit floating point colour space, it fucks with your head basically, right? Now, I'm not a maths dude, but I've had to become one for this, because my brother's busy. I can't go and knock on the door. He's got a lot of shit on at the moment, so I had to do it all on me. So all this maths, which is not good, but I've managed it. Now the tangent space, we're working on it. I know I'm not there. I know the mental images are also working on it, because they've had requests from people and stuff like that. Can't see anymore because that was fucking killing me. but there'll be a tangent space implementation eventually. I'm just trying to work this out a different way. I think everybody else will approach it, because they'll approach it in a certain fashion which will slow the shader down. My way, if I can get it to work, will keep the speed it currently has. Vector displacement is a revolution. Now most people do not understand vector displacement at the moment. They don't understand why they need it, why is it any different, why should I use that and not normal displacement. If you have to ask that question, you're not ready to use it, and that's the blunt version, I'm afraid. I'll do my best to explain as I can. I'll probably do a video on it, what vector displacement is. But do a little test, right? Take a single polygon plane in Mudbox, or even ZBrush, doesn't matter what you use. I'll stand beside the stream mode and say this. And then, from that single polygon, just subdivide it up and make a mushroom out of it, right? Stalk, flat bit on the top. Then try and displace from your single polygon to level, probably about level 8 or 9 or 10 or something, and render that out in mental ray. Go on, pause the video. I'm not joking, pause the video and try it. Right, hopefully you've tried it. I know most of you haven't. And you'll notice some really funky shit going on, right? It doesn't look like a mucking mushroom, does it? No, because it's got to go straight up and down. It can't go around the corner that it needs to. That's where vector displacement comes in. It means you can have details you normally cannot. What time we got? Oh, another 4 minutes on this one. See, this shit know all about vector displacement. Now the trouble is, I'm really on the ragged edge now, because I've been working on this for a long time. I think I said in the last videos, it was lying on my fucking drive, you know what I mean? I thought it wasn't working, which meant that when I knew it was working, I had literally 48 hours to get this bloody thing working. And once see, the Maya version was easy to get working. Porting to 3D Max was the hardest of all, because there's a change internally in the coordinate systems and all that shit, and it's all very complex, but there's a lot of stuff that you've got to bear in mind, basically. So that took a while, and that's where Zap came in for that implementation. The Maya version I had working straight away. The Maya version, 100% win. I think it's the Maya code that's used in the Softimage version as well, just in case you're wondering. But 3D Max, that's the one I use all the time. It's the one I wanted, right? I wrote this shit for me. But I also know that if I started using this in videos and didn't pass it around, I'll get fucking lynched. Besides, I was requested by Autodesk to make it public. And would it be possible on day of release? And my sort of reply was, don't know. Managed it. On day of release, everything's been out. You know, so it's quite an achievement, because in the space of 24-48 hours, I've covered every single version of the 3 major ones, major apps: Maya, Softimage, 3D Max. For the PC version, that's it, they're all covered. Softimage and Maya on Linux, well, that'd mean I'll have to install a Linux partition on my drive or a virtual machine. It'll arrive, just not now. The Mac version, there's a Mac build, it doesn't really work. Not quite sure why. To be honest, I want to get the PC versions up and running first, and I'll tell you why. More people have PCs. But I'm trying, I've got somebody that's trying this as a beta test at the moment, so I'm having a couple of days off. Because my brain is gone. Like that. Now the thing is, right, it's really ironic. I bet those of you that download it now, right, or that do download, you'll all be playing with it, won't you? And if you haven't loads of people have sent me, I've been sculpting away tonight and I've got loads of fucking models, I've been rendering, it's fucking great. And I'm saying, you know how many I've put through since I released it? In fact, since before I released it. The one you saw in the video, that and an ear of Oglu's, right? That is what I've used that for at the moment, because I've been so fucking busy writing the bastard, so you lot can use it. Now remember, I'm gonna get the penny for this, as usual. I've also opened Psycho Core software. Why? Well, this one they sent me Psychotic. And also with Reducto eventually due to come out. I'm not going to give a date, but the core of Reducto's set in stone now, it's just the UI and shit. But I'm crap at UIs. We'll talk more about that in the next video. And so it seemed better to have a separate domain for that. And it's on a separate server and stuff, because I don't want it getting mixed up with the Mudbox. I don't want people to think, for example, that the mental ray shader is just for Mudbox users. You need a Mudbox to vector displacement map, yeah. Reducto, it's not just Mudbox users, right? It's for everybody. It's got a tight integration with Mudbox, but it's not a Mudbox plugin. It's a separate application. That's why it's taking so long. that and the fact that the code I'm using is hideously complex and would make Stephen Hawking's eyes bleed. And that's no word of a lie, because this is 2 years in development, and you can imagine that you can do quite a lot, you know, in 2 years to an algorithm. I've actually got an alternate version, because some people had said that they want a certain type of result from reduction. I'll talk about that next time, in the next video. But so I'm calling that mini R, right? Mini reducto, because it's not really reducto. It's a totally different algorithm. But it's just a drag and drop on the icon. That's it, reduced, right? Works very fast. But I'll outline a bit more of that in a minute. Right.